welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric. I have a knitted hat to share with you today, an EPP block to share, but before I get into that, let me just share with you a little update on future posts. I think after I upload this video, which I suspect is going to be on the short side, I'm going to go the next 3 weeks without uploading a video. Unless something changes, I think this will be the last video until the end of the first week of March. Because just last week, my daughter returned home from working in Colombia for the last 2 years. And she has secured a job in Pennsylvania, and we're so excited. I am just so excited. The relief that a mother feels when their adult child transitions smoothly is just immense. And that's one of the things that's been kind of going on, a little bit of the chaos. There's other things. The chaos of my children has definitely caused me a little bit of stress in this past year. But this is exciting news. She's really excited. We're really excited for her. I'm excited because this time when she moves out, she will be taking enough of her stuff to not only open up some of the space in my house, but I can now turn the room that is her room and my sewing room into my craft room. And that is what I had intended when we first moved here back in at Christmas 2017. Was the room that she has been using as hers was supposed to be my dedicated studio. Not just sewing, but my spinning wheels, all of that could be in that room for me to have my own real creative space. I have made do. I have fabrics and fibers and stuff in every nook and cranny of the house. But I am so excited because very shortly I will have a completely dedicated sewing space again. and I'm just really excited. And I'm more in it than anything. I'm so excited for my daughter. I am thrilled with the new company that she'll be working for. I'm thrilled that she'll be having her first US-based home of her own. And so 6 years ago, so 10 years ago, she went off to college. And so we've done this whole, she's had some of her stuff and some of it has been in the house. 10 years ago, she went off to college. But 6 years ago, she started the process of going into the Peace Corps. And while she had, it took that first year after college, for the most part, she stayed at home with us. For the last 6 years, she's been focused on doing the Peace Corps. When COVID hit and she was evacuated and they closed down the entirety of the Peace Corps volunteers, she came back, she got a part-time job, she worked, and as soon as Peace Corps opened back up, she went back in. So she's been to Mongolia, she's been to Colombia, she now speaks Spanish quite well, and that has helped secure her next employment. So that's what's been that's one of the things that's been going on. And I look forward to 2024. I think there'll be more excitement. One of the things is that I can take a train from here to where she's going to be really easily. So she and I can plan little activities and explorations where I don't necessarily have to drive. Now, for the people in my followers that are in the UK or maybe in other areas of Europe, that might not sound like such a big deal, but here in the United States, the ability to get on a train and take a train to get me from one place to the next, that's actually much more difficult to do. We do have trains. We do have passenger trains. We do have buses. But we do not have the system that, say, my daughter experienced when she was studying in Reading, England. And so this will be the closest we've had. And so I can take a train from here to where she's at, catch my breath, and then do little 2-hour train trips to places like Washington, D.C. or New York. So I'm excited. I am really excited for the future. So I wanted to share that with all of you before I shared my projects. But it's the reason why I won't probably be doing a video 2 weeks from now, because that's the that would be the time we're actually getting ready to pack up her stuff so she can travel, because it is winter and we are aware that there are the potential of storms. The moving her has a large window, so my husband and my daughter can pick a window in which there's not a storm to move. I will stay here. I'll hold down the fort and keep the cats company while they do that. But my house has turned into packing boxes, because we're crafters. And so and we like to bake and do things in the kitchen. So she has a wall of kitchen boxes, and she has a wall of craft boxes and art supplies, and and so all of the open spaces, like what's behind the camera here, are walls of boxes. And by the time 2 weeks ago, I suspect by the time I would be recording another video, the space I'm in right now may be where she's sleeping, because we'll tear apart her bed and she'll be sleeping on an air mattress right here on the floor where I'm recording. So look forward my next video, probably at the end of the first week of March. I may try to do a short. If something strange happens, I may try to squeeze one in. But right now, I don't think I'll have another video out until the end of the first week of March. And I didn't want anybody who watches my videos regularly to be at all concerned if I am not posting videos as I do regularly. You might have noticed behind me, the cats. It's like somebody put a quarter in them and they're just running around. They are so excited. The older kitties are so excited to have my daughter here, because they remember her. They grew up with her, tending to them all the time. The young kittens, they have just met her for the first time, and all of the boxes and the changes and the smells, they're crazy. It's just been crazy. So welcome to my madhouse. But as you can see from my excitement in my hands and the crazy cats behind me, it's wonderful and it's exciting. And it's a very positive, it's just a very positive change, and yeah, change of my life too, because she'll be back in the United States. She will be an adult. She'll have, she's taking over all of her financial responsibility, as opposed to a little bits and pieces. And yeah, it's been a long 10 years since she went off to college at a much younger age than most, but it has been a good 10 years with lots of ups and downs and trials and changes and adaptations. And this just feels like a wonderful new adventure starting. So I'm going to actually start backwards. I'm going to show the EPP, because she's been doing crafting since she was very, very little. She did her first quilt when she was 7 years old, was the first one that she really did the whole entire thing. And I just got her addicted to English paper piecing. You will recognize this block. This is the one I didn't have finished the last time that I was showing you the center. I have adjusted the center. And this is the one that I just did, I think. Yeah, the ones that I just, the one that I just did up. I think so. Hold that thought. Let me go and get all 3 of these, and that way, whatever one it is, because I'm drawing a blank. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So yes, I'm glad I went and got the paperwork, because now I can actually tell you the name of it as well. So this one, this was the one I was already working on. I hadn't had a chance to finish it, and it was called the Octagon Star. And I was having a little problem where at the center, I have got the center to match up. When I took the pieces out, everything eased up and relaxed. But I wanted to show you how in the center, this one kind of, the fabric I chose kind of fails it. You don't, even though it all matches up exactly in the center, it doesn't look like it because of the fabric I used. When I go over to this one, now all of a sudden, and let me put something behind it so it won't be as see-through on the camera. You can see that the points all match up. This one is called the Rolling Star. And it is, again, another 8-pointed star, just like the previous one. And I was having problems with its center as well until I took my thicker papers out, and then it lines up just fine. And the interesting thing, when I first thought about doing this one, I thought of this fabric here, and I got them switched when I was cutting and gluing them together. But it actually, I think it actually turned out really well. Looking at it here on the camera, I think it actually works quite well to have the big bold shape in those pieces. So this one is the Rolling Star. It will be available for download on my blog, pithyponderings.com. Find the links in the description below. But that one turned out really well. But they're basically, both of them are 8-pointed stars. And you can kind of see how this one gets messy in the center because of the type of fabric that I used versus this one really does have a much cleaner look. So that's just something I wanted to kind of share. This one, if you notice, it has just the corners and then these diamond pieces. This one has a little bit more fiddly corners. Okay. But fabric choice does make a difference. This one, even with fixing the center so that it all matches up, it looks messy, whereas this looks a little cleaner. So when we choose our fabrics, it can have an overall effect. It isn't a bad idea if you're wanting to do the same block over and over again, maybe doing, kind of like we talk about with knitting, do a sample. See if you like it in one block before you commit to doing the placement for the whole thing. So that is my English paper piecing. Now, my hand spun that I did during Tour de Fleece last year, that's what's left. Here's the hat. My husband loves it. It is so squishy soft. Worked fabulous. And as I said, inspired by the Musselbugh hat, but I just did 4 increases until it was the size I needed it. This is definitely a situation where I recommend, yeah, if somebody's made the pattern, buy the pattern and and then give it a try. Your hand spun yarn really works well with a pattern like this if you test your gauge a little bit, okay? But buy the pattern, save yourself the frustration. This hat turned out to be wonderful. It's soft. I did, as you can see, I'm messing up my hair. It is, I can't pull it apart because I've actually stitched the end, but it's fully lined. I've actually stitched together the top, the inside to the outside so that you can't pull it apart. I did that because I know my husband. And if I hadn't have done that, it would have frustrated him. So I think it's a wonderful hat. The 2 layers and then having the little bit of extra brim, it fits well. It's one of the best fitting hats, actually, I think I've ever made. And you know what? With my braids, that's why I had the hair in braids today, so I could put on the hat. So I think the difference is the way I've done my increases. I did mine where I increased on either side of 4 markers every other round. And that, I think, gives me a flatter, and then when I do the decreases, I do the exact same thing. That has given me a flatter top than what I see when I see people share the Musselbugh. So I know that I'm doing my increases differently than I think the pattern for the Musselbugh. But that's what I did, and I had a lot fewer stitches than I thought I was going to need for my gauge. But I like the flatter top hat. I don't like hats that kind of poke up. I like a flat top. That's my preference. But the concept of having the 2 layers of stocking net meshed inside of each other, then folded over. I think I stitched out a total of something like 20 to 21 inches. Yeah, to get this for this size. I have my head size is about 21 to 22 inches circumference. So yeah, after watching a number of the videos showing the Musselbugh hat, I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try. And since my gauge is such a problem, it is easier for me to just make it up as I go. But if you're looking for a good stocking hat, go out and try to find that one. As I said, I haven't bought the pattern, but I have watched a lot of people talk about it, and this is modeled on that pattern. So I highly recommend you give it a try if you're looking for a good, warm, simple to knit with your handspun. And so that's why I want to really talk about it. There are tons of wonderful patterns out there for sweaters, for hats, for all sorts of things. And we really should support the pattern makers. But when we have our hand spun, we are talking about a whole nother world of yarn. And that's one of the things I know with a lot of people who get into spinning is they can't quite figure out how to make it work with the patterns that they're buying. Some patterns are more friendly to our hand spun than others. And so far, I know that I have tried Tin Can Knits Flax. Wonderful base patterns for the hand spun because you can really look at your gauge, and because most of the time it's just a knit, it works really well with thick and thin, a little bit odd, all the little the characteristics that we get with our hand spun that make it so that we love it as a hand spun. I think that the Musselbugh hat is another example because when all of the people have been talking about the pattern, it is, yeah, you can, it's a blank hand, it's like a vanilla sock type, but it gives you a lot of suggestions with the different size, and you can really look at your gauge as you're knitting the top part to see what works for you and the yarn that you're using. So that is my recommendation. I love it. I think it is a wonderful, it's a wonderful concept. And it is, my husband loves it. He has, as soon as I had it finished, we didn't have as many cold days, but he has worn it, and it stays on his head, and he loves the way it fits, and he loves how nice and soft it is. And I can tell, this is not bothering my ears. This isn't bothering my forehead. I don't do knit hats mostly because even the softest yarn tends to make me feel a little itchy. Because there is no ribbing, this is all stocking knit. Okay, and you can see all the different texture of the, I haven't even blocked this. This is just right off the needles, and yeah, ready to wear. So that's my hat. Do I want to write up a pattern? No, because I know that there's other people who have done it. The concept is pretty much there. So if you know how to just create on the fly, you'll figure out how to do this just like I have. But the thing that we get is one of the big advantages of purchasing patterns that other people have made, as opposed to just a recipe. And that's what I'm using. I'm just using a recipe. There's a difference. But you purchasing patterns that other people, is they have taken the time to figure out how many stitches to cast on and where to put the markers and all of that calculation. And that is valuable. That's very, very valuable. I have a tendency to make a lot of things top-down raglan, or like the other sweater I'm making, which I thought was a raglan, but then I remembered it was a top-down yoke. I have a tendency to be very loose-fitting, very unfitted, very just relaxed. And therefore, and testing it on myself, trying it on myself. But when you are making something for someone else, or when you don't want to have to do all the math yourself, purchasing a pattern that someone else has had test knitters test out with the gauge and try, it's worth the money. It's worth supporting the people who are putting out those patterns. So while, yeah, I am sharing my English paper piecing, and I'm sharing the patterns with you, there are people who this is what they're doing. They have patterns that you can buy. They have the templates already figured out. They'll do the calculations to how much fabric you need to do for a quilt. Look into these, I would say, independent crafters, these independent creators, and support them. Whether it is our knitting, or English paper piecing, or quilting, whatever we're doing, definitely support the crafters, because that's what makes it so that they can continue creating is the support. I love the creating process. I don't love the selling it to anyone process. And so I am more than happy to share this kind of thing. And at times I have shared my knitting patterns. But since this has been inspired by something that's already out there, I don't think this is going to be one that I'll write up and share with everyone, because I don't want to take away from what these other crafters are doing. I want to celebrate and be inspired by them, but not take away from, I want to encourage people to go and find them, to use them, to celebrate them, and help support them, because that's what makes our community grow rather than shrink. All right, so that is my video today. I've been all over. I would imagine anybody coming in for the first time, you probably have already left. But for those of you that have stayed here to the end, I thank you so much. Thank you for all your support, and I look forward to making another video with something to share. And that's the other thing, just as the caveat. Even if I have somewhere to sit here behind a camera and record, I'm not sure I'm going to have any projects finished. I don't think I'm going to have any English paper piecing projects to finish. I'm not going to have any knitting. My spinning wheels are just being tucked out of the way for right now. I am so focused on spending the time spending the time with my daughter before she moves. We chat with each other all the time via technology, but we are going to go in the sewing room. We are going to make her some shirts like this. We are going to enjoy each other's company. We're going to make brownies and bake bread and maybe make cookies and just do all those kind of things that we haven't been able to do together for 2 years, and enjoy it. So that's what I will be up to. And maybe I'll get some more pictures to post on Instagram. I've been terrible on that, and now you can know why. Because this process of getting it to where we're moving her, it's actually been something that I have been discussing with her and working with her through for a few weeks now, a few months now. The topic has been up, and so I'm just going to enjoy the next 3 weeks. 2 weeks with her here and 1 week biting my nails as my husband's moving her up to her new location. And just enjoy this time. So I will see you again the first week of March. And until then, maybe try a little bit of English paper piecing or knit a hat, because winter isn't over yet. We still have snow. Like, get on. We still have snow coming. Winter's not over. And it's perfect time to still do some fabulous crafts. So I'm wishing you all the best. Happy unwinding with fiber and fabric. Until I see you again. Bye-bye.